If you've been delivering projects on time but keep getting passed over for promotions, you're not alone. The reality is promotions don't always go to the busiest project managers. They go to the ones that make results visible, help leaders make faster decisions, and adapt quickly when things change. Hi, I'm Adriana Girdler, and I've coached thousands of students with my Slay Project Management course. In fact, a lot of my students say that's exactly why they signed up for my course, to get promoted. What they learn are project management skills that turn a solid project manager into the obvious choice for the next level. And today I'm going to show you exactly how you can build them too, because the opportunities are out there. Despite talks of economic downturn, PMI research predicts that we need 30 million more project professionals worldwide in the next 10 years. All you need is the right skills to stand out. So let's get started. Do you speak the language of executives? One of the most powerful project management skills you can develop if you want to get promoted is the ability to communicate with executives in a way that makes their decisions easier. Because promotions don't just go to the people who do the most work. They go to the people who make an executive's job simpler and help them see the value you're delivering. Your executives don't have time for a 10-minute download of every detail on your project. They're juggling multiple priorities, and your update is competing with dozens of other demands on their attention. This means giving quick, focused updates that zeroes in on the big picture. You want to tell them the following: what's been accomplished, the outcomes or milestones you've hit that matter to the business. You also want to tell them what's at risk, the critical issues that could impact timelines, budgets, or results. And last, what you need from them, the decisions or approvals required, and by when. When you can share this in 60 seconds or fit it in a single page, you're speaking in executive language. And that's project management skill that leaders remember because it saves them time, builds trust, and positions you as someone who's ready to operate at a higher level. It's not about cutting out the details, it's about structuring them so the most important points are front and center. And when you consistently make it easier for leaders to understand where the project stands and what actions are needed, you make it much easier for them to picture you in a bigger role. Are you showing up with problems or solutions? This is another promotion-worthy project management skill, being solution-focused. You want to go beyond simply telling executives what the issues are. Instead, you identify upcoming issues and also present solutions that will help to keep the project moving forward. Over the years, I've seen the difference this makes. I had one client who hired me to help mentor their project managers. There were two project managers that really stood out to me when it came to presenting to executives. One was just problem-focused and would give detailed updates about all the challenges and dependencies slowing things down. The other understood the importance of solutions, so they would outline clear options, walk through the risks and benefits of each, and then give confident recommendations. Based on my client's feedback, well, the executive team, surprise, surprise, appreciated and preferred the solution-focused approach. So much so that they made it a standard for speaking to executives. What you can learn from this is to start incorporating this approach in your executive updates. In practice, that starts with making your core project documents work for you. Your project charter, priority matrix, and scope statement aren't just planning tools, they're decision-making guides. So use them that way. That's something I stress with all of my students, and I hear time and again how those documents help them to not only cover all the bases, but come across more professionally to the higher ups. So before any leadership meeting, review these documents and do the following. 1, identify any items that are stalled or blocked. Number 2, work with your team leads to gather accurate, up-to-date information. Number 3, frame any issues as a set of clear options with the pros, cons, and implications of each. When you consistently walk into a room with solutions instead of just updates, you send a very clear message. You're not just managing a project, you're steering it. While we're talking about getting promoted, you're going to want to get my guide on how to avoid the 10 most common mistakes project managers make. Don't let these errors slow your path to promotion. Grab your copy right now. I'll put the link below. Prioritize like a strategist. One of the key project management skills you need to build if you want to be promoted is the ability to prioritize strategically. This isn't just about keeping a to-do list, it's about knowing what truly drives business results and protecting that work from everything else that tries to compete for attention. I've seen projects where everything was treated as urgent, and believe you me, it was exhausting for those teams. Deadlines slipped, the team was burnt out, and in the end, the work that actually mattered most wasn't delivered on time. In contrast, I've seen project managers who tied every decision back to the project charter and the big picture business goals. They made sure their teams focused on the deliverables that would have the biggest impact, and they had the confidence to say, not now, to work that didn't align. Those projects didn't just finish on time, they made the business look good, and the project managers looked even better. A big part of protecting priorities is introducing a clear change control process to stakeholders early on in the project. When you set expectations in that way, when new requests come in, and they always do, it's not a surprise when you evaluate them against the project's objective, schedule, and resources before making a decision. That means the following: document the request in your change log, assessing its impact on timelines, costs, and scope, and getting formal approval before it's added to the plan. If the change doesn't serve the project's goal or isn't worth the trade-offs, it's much easier for you to say no, because you're relying on the process, not personal opinion, when you combine strong prioritization with disciplined change control. You send a clear message to leaders. You know how to keep a project focused on its most valuable outcomes, even when pressures mount. And that's exactly the kind of strategic thinking they want to see in their next promotion. Create space for your team to shine. Here's something you might not naturally think of as a way to help yourself get promoted, and that is to shine the spotlight on your team and create space for them to succeed. Leaders want to see that you can scale your impact, and that happens when you empower people to take ownership and do their best work. Delegation plays a big role here, but it's not simply about offloading tasks. It's about matching the right work to the right person, setting clear expectations, and then stepping back so they can deliver without you micromanaging every step. Your action plan can be a huge help. By clearly outlining who's responsible for what, you give people the structure they need to work independently while keeping visibility on progress. This also means giving credit where it's due. Recognize contributions in meetings, share success in your project updates, and make sure stakeholders see the talent on your team. This boosts morale, strengthens loyalty, and often brings out even stronger performance. When you can balance clear direction with genuine trust in your team, you're showing leaders that you're capable of operating at a higher level. Because senior roles aren't about doing it all yourself. They're about enabling others to deliver big results. Anticipate risks before they become fires. Developing the ability to spot trouble before it derails your project is another must-have project management skill. Leaders value predictability, and nothing builds trust faster than a project manager who can see a potential problem coming and then take action before it turns into an emergency. I mentored a project manager on a large healthcare initiative who made this a habit. Every month, she would gather her leads for a quick what could go wrong discussion. They'd walk through the project schedule, they would review dependencies in the WBS, and scan the risk register. On one occasion, they spotted a looming vendor delay that, if left unchecked, would have cost the project, oh my goodness, 3 weeks. Because they caught it early, she was able to escalate, resequence some work, and keep the timeline intact. The executives noticed this, and from that point on, she was their first pick for high visibility projects. If you want to build this skill, make risk management a regular part of your process, not a one-time exercise at the project kickoff. Keep your risk register active and review it often with your team. Assign clear owners for each risk, set follow-up dates, and keep communication open so risks are surfaced without blame. When you become known as a project manager who prevents fires instead of just putting them out, you're not just managing projects, you're protecting business outcomes. And that's the kind of steady, forward-thinking leadership executives want in their next promotion. Build influence beyond your title. One of the most overlooked project management skills, and one that can really fast-track your career, is the ability to influence without relying on authority. On many projects, you'll work with people who don't report to you, and you just can't hand out assignments and expect results. Promotions often go to project managers who can do the following: align diverse stakeholders, smooth over tension, and get people on board even when they're not in the same reporting line. I remember consulting on a cross-departmental IT upgrade where one project manager stood out. She spent time building relationships early, chatting with department heads, asking what their top priorities were, and listening to their concerns. Then when it came time to make a tough decision about scope, she had that stakeholder alignment already in place and was able to get key changes approved without slowing the project down. Ultimately, she gained a reputation as someone who could get things done. To develop this project management skill yourself, you need to start by mapping your stakeholders. Identify the following: who has the decision power, who influences those decisions, and who will be most impacted by the work. Don't forget to schedule informal check-ins and be curious about their priorities. Use active listening to make people feel heard, and when you need more alignment, have one-on-one conversations before any big group discussion. These small actions build trust and make collaboration smoother. And when you become known as the project manager who can bring people together, resolve conflicts, and get buy-in across the board, you'll show leaders you're capable of leading at a higher level. And that's exactly the kind of leadership skills that moves your name to the top of the promotion list. Are you leading with your team in mind? One of the most valuable and most overlooked project management skill for getting promoted is understanding how your team works together and leading them in a way that keeps them engaged, not resistant. Because here's the thing, you can have the perfect plan, the right tools, and a bulletproof schedule. But if your team isn't aligned, the project will stall. Leaders notice project managers who not only manage the work, but also guide the human side of the project. Teams aren't static, they evolve. They move through 5 distinct phases of development, and knowing which stage your team is in allows you to adjust your leadership approach. This is something I dive into in my course. How early on you may need to provide more structure and reassurance. Then, as a team matures, you may shift into empowering them to solve problems independently. This awareness helps you anticipate reactions, smooth tensions, and keeps the team moving forward together. Now, to develop this skill, you need to focus on both the technical and interpersonal. Here are some ways you can do that. 1, make the why behind the work crystal clear so everyone understands the purpose. Number 2, pay attention to how your team interacts. Notice who contributes, where tension may be, and whether roles or responsibilities are clear. Number 3, use your action plan to regularly check in to keep tasks on track and create space for honest conversations about what's working and what's not. This is where you might consider not recording your meetings so people are most open and honest about what's really on their minds. When you can combine your technical project management know-how with the interpersonal skills to keep a team functioning at its best, while you're showing leaders that you can deliver results through others. And that's one of the clearest signs you are ready for a bigger role. Stay steady when priorities shift. One of the key project management skills that will help you get promoted is the ability to keep your composure and your project on track when priorities change. It's not a matter of if this will happen, but when. In the real world, budgets get reallocated, deadlines get moved, and then suddenly a deliverable that was top priority yesterday ends up at the bottom of the list today. Leaders pay attention to the project managers who can absorb these shifts, adapt quickly, and keep the team focused without losing momentum. Being steady under shifting priorities starts with staying grounded in your core project documents. Your charter tells you why the project exists and what it's meant to achieve. Use that as your anchor when you're reevaluating scope. Your schedule gives you the structure you need to resequence tasks and redistribute workloads. And your action plan ensures that even in a pivot, everyone knows what to do next. The interpersonal side is just as important. Your team will look to you for cues, and if you seem rattled, well, they will be rattled too. Communicate changes promptly, explain what's different and why, and outline the immediate next step so there's no confusion. Invite feedback on potential risks or roadblocks that may come up from the shift, and adjust your plan accordingly. When you can handle these pivots with calm, clear direction, you send a powerful message to leadership that you can manage complexity without losing focus. That's the exact kind of steady solution-oriented mindset executives want to see in their next promotion. Project confidence and credibility. Confidence is one of those project management skills that quietly shapes how others see you. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about speaking with clarity, being prepared, and following through on what you say you'll do. Leaders are drawn to project managers who project a calm, capable presence, especially in high-pressured situations. I ask every new student who joins my course why they decided to take it, and the answer almost always includes building confidence. Having a solid project management framework to work from, one that covers the theory, the practical tools, and the real-world interpersonal strategies, gives you that foundation. When you know you've got a clear process for planning, tracking, and delivering projects, you can focus your energy on leading rather than second-guessing yourself. Projecting confidence starts with preparation. Know your project inside and out, your current status, top risks, upcoming milestones, and any decision that needs to be made. When you can speak to those without fumbling through notes, you naturally appear more credible. That confidence extends to how you deliver the information too. Lead with the main point, then provide supporting details if asked, and keep your language clear and free of unnecessary jargon. When you combine a confident delivery with a proven track record, you make it easy for leaders to picture you in a more senior role. And that's the ultimate goal, showing through every interaction that you are ready for greater responsibility. Getting promoted as a project manager isn't just about how long you've been in the role. It's about consistently building the skills that leaders value most and applying them in a way that gets results. That's why I created the Slay Project Management course. It's not just theory and templates, it's the real-world strategy, tools, and interpersonal skills you can use immediately to lead with confidence. And watch this series next that's packed with practical tips and real-world insight to help you level up fast. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you found this video helpful, I would be grateful if you gave this video a thumbs up.